Pete Hegseth is having a terrible day and screwing Donald Trump in the process, because not only did he humiliate himself before Congress this morning, but he decided to take it a step further as a new report is revealing just how much corruption and criminality Hegseth has been engaging in, not just in the past 72 hours as him and Trump sick their thugs on the peaceful protesters in Los Angeles, but throughout the entire administration. We're going to get into that report, break it all down. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way in supporting the work that we are doing on this channel. Now, before we check out this insane new report detailing the corruption of Hegseth, I want to start with a call out this morning that he faced in front of Congress. Let's take a look.
With the most recent deployment of the Marines, Mr. Secretary, what's the justification for using the military for civilian law enforcement purposes in LA? Why are you sending war fighters to cities to interact with civilians?
Every American citizen deserves to live in a community that's safe, and ICE agents need to be able to do their job. They're being attacked for doing their job, which is deporting illegal criminals. That should happen in any city, Minneapolis or Los Angeles. And if they're attacked, that's lawless, and President Trump believes in law and order. So he has every authority, and he has done mobilizing National Guard or active duty troops under U.S. code to protect federal agents in their job, which is exactly what we're doing, and we're proud to do it. We're proud to do it.
10 U.S.C. of the U.S. Code 12406 as a legal basis that the president used cites 3 examples and circumstances for the Guard: invasion by a foreign nation, rebellion or dangerous rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States, or the president is unable with regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. Which authority is triggered here to justify the use?
I don't know. You just read it yourself, and people can listen themselves, but it sounds like all 3 to me. If you've got millions of illegals and you don't know where they're coming from, they're waving flags from foreign countries and assaulting police officers and law enforcement officers, that's a problem.
The laws of the United States?
No, the governor of California is unable to execute the laws of the United States.
The president, you said all
the governor of the California has failed to protect his people, along with the mayor of Los Angeles, and so President Trump has said he will protect our agents, and our Guard and Marines are proud to do it.
The law also says, Mr. Secretary, that the orders for these purposes shall be issued through governors of the states.
You and I both know that President Trump has all the authorities necessary, and thankfully he's willing to do it on behalf of the citizens of Los Angeles, on behalf of our ICE agents, and behalf of our country.
We've also pulled $1 billion for the border as well. So this just goes into the same fund, 134. What did
Congressman, what's the
134 million? I was asking Ms. McDonald.
Okay.
134 million goes on top of the billion that's been pulled for the border.
So the funding that was pulled for this year was largely in FSRM, and in this budget, we're actually looking to plus that funding back up to backfill that for our troops and for their families.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank the gentleman. Mr. Valadeo.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, General. Thank you, Ms. McDonald, for being here.
There have been photographs that have shown these troops sleeping on the floor and have not been provided fuel, food, or water by DOD. How long will this deployment last, and why were we unprepared to provide them basic necessities such as food and water?
And that's a disingenuous attack that misrepresents how much we care about our troops and what they're doing to defend ICE agents. I'm not going to take the fact that we don't care about the troops. Nobody cares more about the troops at the top than this secretary and the chairman and our department.
Pete Hegseth on the daily is demonstrating how incompetent and unable to do his job he is. Pete Hegseth, though, was not installed in this position because he is competent. Actually, the contrary is true. It's because he doesn't know what he's doing, because he is a stooge for Donald Trump, because all he is supposed to do is go on Fox and spread Donald Trump's propaganda. Trump wanted loyalty, the type of loyalty that would allow Pete Hegseth to go forward with deploying Marines on Los Angeles, and the type of loyalty that Donald Trump was so upset he didn't have when Hegseth was sharing Chinese war plans with Elon. So, at this moment, Pete Hegseth is on pretty shaky ice with Donald Trump. And it only got worse after this report revealed just how awful the corruption is within this administration. And I'm sure Pete's going to get a little call from Trump after. Pete Hegseth dumped up to $550,000 in stocks right before Liberation Day, a new report reveals. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth sold off nearly 24 stocks before Donald Trump's tariff announcement sent the stock market into a tailspin, according to new disclosure reports. Hegseth sold between $100,000 and $550,000 in stocks on March 24th, 9 days before Liberation Day, and those 23 stocks included Amazon, Apple, Lowe's, Walmart, and other companies that lost value after the tariff announcement, and ethics experts took notice. An appearance of wrongdoing, an appearance of insider trading, or the appearance that people are more focused on their stock portfolio than working on behalf of the American public is just as bad as if a violation actually occurred, because our system relies on the public being able to trust our leaders and trust in the system, said Delaney Marsko, ethics director at Campaign Legal Center. The news outlet Notice has previously reported that numerous officials and lawmakers made advantageous stock trades ahead of Donald Trump's announcement, but another ethics expert said Hegseth should have sold off his stocks before taking over as defense secretary, which he didn't do. Hegseth's signed ethics agreement did not list plans to divest from any specific stocks, and an ethics compliance certification responds to questions about stock divestiture with NA. When high-level officials are engaging in stock trading, it is raising questions in the mind of the public as to what did they know in that cabinet meeting, said Cynthia Brown, senior ethics counsel at Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. Those are the concerns that come up when people who have the ability to influence policy at the highest level in ways that can affect the markets are engaging in these kinds of trades during times where we know the markets are fluctuating significantly. Pete Hegseth is in government to kiss Donald Trump's ass, to protect his pocketbooks, and, I don't know, to build makeup studios. Isn't that his big accomplishment at the Pentagon? That's about it. And of course it is. Donald Trump did not surround himself with anyone competent, and that was on purpose. He wants their loyalty, and he wants the power that should be coming from their positions. Donald Trump wants to be a dictator. He has made that clear, and his cognitive decline only makes that desire to be an authoritarian even scarier. And we have seen that play out in LA, and we need to be loud in calling it out, which my Congressman Maxwell Frost was in this takedown of Trump, Hegseth, and the entire administration right here.
The framers expected Congress to establish a local government for D.C., and Congress has established various forms of local government for D.C. since 1802. The Supreme Court has held that Congress may delegate to D.C. legislative authority over local D.C. matters. In 1973, Congress passed the D.C. Home Rule Act, which gave D.C. an elected chief executive and an elected legislature, the mayor and the D.C. City Council. The purpose of the Home Rule Act is to, quote, grant the inhabitants of the District of Columbia powers of local self-government and, quote, to relieve Congress of the burden of legislating upon essentially local D.C. matters, end quote. H.R. 884 contravenes the purpose of the Home Rule Act. D.C.'s Local Residents Voting Amendment Act of 2022 allows D.C. residents who are not yet U.S. citizens to vote only in local elections. Only in local elections, namely for mayor, members of the city council, the State Board of Education, Attorney General, Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner, and ballot measures. The D.C. law does not allow non-citizens to vote in federal elections, which is a crime under federal law. Regardless of your views on the merits of non-citizen voting for local elections, we have to acknowledge that D.C. is not the first, nor are they the only jurisdiction in our country to allow this. At various points throughout throughout American history, Congress in 40 states have allowed non-citizens to vote in local, state, territorial elections, including the home state of the sponsor of this bill. Congress did not prohibit non-citizens from voting in federal elections until 1996. And today, about 20 municipalities allow non-citizens to vote in local elections. I also want to address very specific concerns that we're hearing from our Republican colleagues. Number one, they're concerned that foreign diplomats might vote in local D.C. elections. We believe, number one, that that's highly unlikely, both because they have to renounce their right to vote in their home country and because D.C. has no authority over federal matters and has only limited local self-government. In D.C., the penalty for voter fraud includes imprisonment for up to 5 years. To be eligible to vote in D.C., a person must maintain their residency in D.C. for at least 30 days before the election and cannot claim voting residence or the right to vote in any state, territory, or country. In a letter to Congress, the D.C. Board of Elections made it clear that to vote in a D.C. local election, a foreign diplomat would have to, quote, effectively renounce their right to vote in their country of origin, end quote. The board noted that a foreign diplomat would have to, quote, swear under penalty of law through the D.C. registration application that the person is not claiming voting residence in another country, end quote. The board also noted that an embassy address cannot be used to register to vote, since it is considered a commercial or business address, and a foreign passport cannot be used to register to vote since it does not contain a residential address in D.C. While Republicans are concerned about foreign diplomats voting in local elections, I wonder if they're aware that the United States, that currently in this country, United States citizens who are registered under the Foreign Agents Registration Act are currently allowed to vote in elections at all levels of government in the United States, including federal elections. That's right. Registered foreign agents who are currently U.S. citizens can vote anywhere in the United States. Republicans are also concerned that undocumented immigrants might vote in local D.C. elections. That's highly unlikely because the D.C. voter roll is public record, and undocumented immigrants likely would not want to identify themselves, including their address. In closing, the House of Representatives is considering the wrong D.C. voting rights bill here today. Republicans claim that voting is a core right or the privilege of American citizenship. And not only is that historically incorrect, but I described earlier, it's also hypocritical. Republicans have fought tooth and nail to defeat legislation that would give the American citizens who reside in D.C. voting representation in the House and the Senate. We, of course, continue to push for D.C. statehood, and I urge the House to reject H.R. 884 and instead to pass H.R. 51. Thank you. I yield back.
Our rights are under attack. We know this to be true. We need to, as Democrats, frame this around the chaos created by Donald Trump's incompetence and the assault on freedom. You are less free because Donald Trump is president. Just because Republicans wave their flags, do their fake patriotism, and carry around their pocket constitutions does not mean they actually care about freedom. Freedom means the freedom to speak up against Donald Trump and his administration, the freedom to protest against the invasion by ICE. That's what freedom means. And we are less free under this administration. Democrats need to be speaking in that language. We're going to be on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.